Hello everyone, you're welcome to The Insight. I am Bable Jonathan. In this edition of the program, we're going to take a critical look at the socio-political landscape in the Republic of Cameroon. And on the occasion of the 31st anniversary of the Social Democratic Front, we're going to take you into the nooks and crannies of that political party, a political party that has stood the test of time, a party that has been through the storm, that has been through the rain, that has been through turbulent moments in the history of the Republic of Cameroon, but that has stood through, or that continues standing true to its principles, true to its ideology, true to its line of action. This is what the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front said in his anniversary message, indicating that the party continues standing tall despite the storm threatening to pull down the party, but it continues standing strong in the political landscape of the Republic of Cameroon. Stay with us and meet our guest in some few seconds. Our guest today is the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front, John Frun, a politician who has equally stood the test of time, as well as his political party, the party that he has been leading for more than 4 decades. Today, Chairman, you're welcome.
Thank you, Jonathan, and thanks for taking the pains to come meet me right here in Yaoundé. I appreciate your coming. For long I've not seen you, and I didn't know what was happening. And I was wondering whether an important event like the anniversary of the SDF will miss you. But you've defended yourself by coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, before we get to politics, you called on Cameroonians to stop paying toll gate fees around roads that are, or that were, and are still in a very bad state. And there are still many roads in a very bad state across the Republic. And one of those roads is the road from Babaju to Bamenda. And that road is more or less a nightmare today to commuters. When it rains, circulation becomes more than an uphill task on that stretch of road. What do you think about efforts of government to rehabilitate that road?
You've said it all. You've described how the road is, how bad it is, and the nightmare and the hardihood that people are going through just leaving Bamenda to Babaju, which is walking distance. When we were young, we used to trek across to Babaju Market to buy bonbons to come sell in Santa. Today, it's easier for people to leave Santa by on foot to Babaju and come back than going by cars. And it's on the heels of this that we had to call on people not to pay the toll gate at Santa. And thank God that the governor of the Northwest saw with us and also supported what we did, and the toll gates takings in Santa were stopped. Otherwise, you cannot leave Yaoundé coming to Bamenda, sometimes either with a corpse or with a sick person. You come and sleep again in Babaju. Or you leave Bamenda, you are coming to Yaoundé here, or going to Douala or anywhere in the southwest or wherever. Just from Santa, you come again, sleep in Babaju. That was very painful for the people. And this showed the mismanagement of the toll gates. The SDF's idea, the toll gate was a program of the SDF, which we called that roads should be built, toll gates put. The monies collected from the toll gates should be used in maintaining the roads. But instead they use these monies, people have embezzled, it's gone in different directions, and people have come back worse than what it was before. So it's very unfortunate, but I'm happy that our call for the boycott of the toll gates was timely, and with time we've been proven right. The other place where I stopped a toll gate, which when I left the continued, was in Tibati. Because a small patch of tarred road in Tibati going towards Mainganga, it was supposed to be a tarred road. But I was driving on that road because of the potholes at 10 kilometers per hour. If I had gone me on my earth road, I could have gone faster and reached. So when I got there at night, the gate man there said I should come pay the toll. I said, on this road, I said, I will not. So he said, well, Frundi, I will not be the one to open the gate for you to pass free. Go open the gate yourself. I went, opened the gate, my vehicles passed, and I put it on, and I continued. And I said, no toll gate here. Because I think toll gate should be at the service of the people, to make the roads pliable, to make the roads comfortable for the people. But when people have to go through all those potholes, jumping up and down, and they still have to pay toll gates, I mean, it was something that I couldn't understand. And at one time, around Dizange, in the bushes going towards Mwanko, they graded the road there, and a divisional officer there put his own toll gate. I was collecting monies on a graded road. So, you see, in everything, Cameroonians want to defraud. And they've defrauded the earnings of the toll gate that they are not being used in the vein, or in the light, or in the vision that the SDF had projected.
Does that explain why there are so many bad roads in the big cities and in the hinterlands as well? In Douala, in Yaoundé, in Bamenda, it is one of the problems that provoked what was now, what became known as the Coffin Revolution. In Bafoussam, everywhere, bad roads across the country.
The bad roads are there because we are dealing with a government that is not preemptive to take the road. When you travel through Europe, America, you see a very good road that is being refurbished, because from the technicians, they tell you that this road has a lifespan of 10 years. After 10 years, whether the potholes are there or not, they start refurbishing the road. They have a budget for that. But I only wait until the roads dig from the road into people's houses, the bridges are collapsing before they start bringing new budgets to build a new road to make as if there was no road at all before. I think administration is continuous. And when you come meet a road, you meet a building, you meet a bridge, repair those things and be going on and be building yours. Somebody will come and take over from you, be repairing what you've left behind, and be progressing and building new things in the service of the people.
In the case of the Babaju-Bamenda Road, the administration is saying that the road is still in that bad state because of insecurity as a result of the Anglophone crisis. That is.
Yeah, the insecurities might have contributed. They might have contributed, which is true, they contributed. But if they had finished the road when it was scheduled, the insecurities couldn't have met it. Because when they were almost finishing the road, they stopped it halfway and got the money to finish the Kribi deep sea port. And because of that, the insecurities heightened and things degenerated up to where we are now. But if the monies were used for the purposes for which they were bent, I think we would not be going through the nightmare we're going through now.
And looking at the difficulties that the administration is facing because of insecurity to rehabilitate that stretch of road, many are also asking the question, but if they cannot rehabilitate the Bamenda-Babaju road, is it reconstruction that will be done in the hinterlands of the northwest and southwest region?
That's a good question, Jonathan. You know, the regime in place starts from the other end pushing things this way instead of starting from here dragging the things along. If they couldn't maintain the patched roads, is it new roads now that they can dig? It's not possible, because They wait until, as I said before, the roads have completely broken down. That is start of, oh, let's build a road for Bamenda, let us build a road going to Ngaoundere, let us build a road. If you looked at the stretch of road, Ngaoundere, Garwa, Marwa Kuseri, Marwa Mukolo, all these were roads left behind by later Hijo. And they were plowable, motorable, good. But they started breaking down because the lifespan expired. And when this lifespan expires and you see a small pothole, you don't fix it, you don't take care of it. You don't put people to straight away patch it. This pothole will develop into
lakes, minor lakes.
A lake that you need canoes to swim across.
And another road network which has been practically abandoned, whose rehabilitation and construction has been abandoned for decades now, and is also been attributed to the insecurity because of the Anglophone crisis, is the ring road. That road is long awaited. Mr. Chairman, what's happening to that road?
Sir, the ring road is a sing-song. I remember in the early days, President Biya will ask, what is the ring road? Is it a house? Give it to Frundi. Madam Chente, if it's a house, give it to Frundi. He didn't know what the ring road meant. And unfortunately for us, the late Prime Minister Emeritus Simon Achidachu surely said that this is the ring road. This is the ring road, he said. And you see, the ring road became a mockery to the people of the Northwest. Because the North-Southwesterners had their PWD days. That on the earth road, the PWD workers were maintaining the roads in the rains. And they had a day for Mamfe go up, Mamfe go down. Mamfe Kumba going, Kumba Mamfe coming back. And people traveled in those days without accidents. Things were smooth. People could go to Nso. You could use the road from Bamenda to Wum. Wum Mesaje, Kambe, you get across to Nso, Ndop, you come back. That's the ring road. But every year in his speech, Mr. Biya talked about the ring road. And when he talks, people clap, oh, the ring road will be taken care of. They clap this year, next year they clap, the next year they clap, the next year they're clapping. I asked myself in those days, are we Cameroonians a clapping population? Clapping in the face of that idleness, clapping senselessly, not clapping for things that are real. Because when a president makes a statement 1, 2, 3 times, we hold that president responsible that you've made this promise about 3 times. Let us look at the Lombanga
hydroelectric dam.
He kept singing this thing from when he came to power. Oh, you see this project of Lombanga, we are working on it. You see this Memvele dam thing, we are working on it. You see the Songlulu, we are working on it. I mean, he sang it over and over and over. And I think somebody had to tap him that don't say this thing again because they are not realistic. It's now that the Lombanga is coming up and it's not yet effective. And even if we look at the stadiums in the country, Cameroon was shining well on the field of football. And when they played, they gave monies to the team, the host, the participating teams. And in other countries, they use their monies to build stadiums for themselves. But Cameroon, up till today, you don't know what happened to the share of Cameroon's own gate takings for the Cameroonian team participating in international matches, which they did very well. They were hailed Cameroonian players were loved. People loved Miller. They loved Etofis. They loved all those celebrated players that Cameroon has produced. But back in Cameroon, we had nothing to show for. It's now that
the money took other directions, and today the country is...
We had to start borrowing monies, heavy sums of monies. Olembe Stadium. That's what they talked about for a long time. And because they wanted to use it immediately, they had to get companies that were going to prefab heavy beams from Europe transported. Because if they had to prefab them here, they were not going to be matured enough for the place to be built. They had to ship these things from Europe. They came, and up to now, the stadium is not yet completed. As I read from you journalists, they've gone from one contractor to the other, and every contractor that comes in, the money goes up. So it means that by the time we finish the Olembe Stadium, we shall have used about 3-4 times the original amount that if we were a country that was projecting and planning things to say, okay, we're doing this, tenders, and you had free, fair, transparent tenders, they could have built that thing at about 1/4 the cost that it is now. So these are the type of things that we're going through in the country that some of us frown at.
A problem of governance.
Not just governance, bad governance.
Bad governance. And in the Northwest, as it is the case in the Southwest regions now, the crisis that has been pulling on for close to 5 years today is taking another twist with explosive devices, sophisticated weapons coming into play. And in your anniversary message, you said, I quote, "We call on governments to organize a true, frank, and inclusive dialogue to bring to a quick end the ongoing crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions of the country." When you talk of a true, frank, and inclusive dialogue, what are you referring to? Was the other one not true? The major national dialogue, wasn't it a frank dialogue? Government said it was true, frank, and inclusive.
What have they implemented from that to show that they were true to their call? What have they implemented to show that it was frank? What have they implemented? Nothing. And if they've implemented nothing, it means it was not true. If they've done nothing, it means that we're not frank in what we're saying there. If there's nothing that is happening now, it means that we're not honest in what we're saying. We just have to talk to the gallery. Let's keep them talking. It's not good to think that at every turn you keep the people talking, deceiving them. If you take stones put in a pot and you keep trying to appease a hungry child, that wait, this food will soon get ready. Add water, put wood, and hoping that that child will sleep. Even if he does, he'll say, "Mama, where's my food?" Because he's hungry. So we thought that for once, because you remember, when I got to Etudi, when Cameroon won the cup from Gabon, Mr. Biya was receiving the cup and he invited some of us who went. And when I went for that memorable occasion, we shook hands. And he was about going. I dragged him back. I said, "Mr. President, I am telling you, I beg you in God's name, put in effect what your former Prime Minister, Philemon Yang, came to Bamenda and discussed with the parliament, with the lawyers and the teachers. They came up with good resolutions about the courts, about the school curriculum, about the teachers. All these things were well worded, put down. I said, "Mr. President, just sign this for people to, especially to get those children out of the way." Because when they started, the lawyers and teachers were protesting. I drove into town to see what was happening. My car was towed 4 times. And when my car was towed in Bamenda, I came out of the car. Some of the children ran. Some said, "Pa, go, you want to die us." I said, "If you want to die, then I failed." Because the future I killed myself struggling to build was a future for you, the younger people. It's not for me. For instance, in July this year, in less than 2 months, I'll be 80. And that's why you see, I'm trying to hand over. I handed over the presidential baton. I want to hand over the party, the leadership of the party, to a younger person. So when we are doing all these things, it's because we want to guarantee the future. Because in 31 years, I taught Cameroon about 21, 22 times. And whenever they announced presidential elections that I was a flag bearer then, in 2 weeks, I taught all of Cameroon. I mean, starting from Kuseri, down through Marwa, Garwa, Gaundere, go through Betua, come through Yaoundé here, down Douala, through the southwest before I get up to Bamenda, then to come have the last rally in Yaoundé here before I run to Bamenda to vote. I know what I went through. And
we'll certainly come back to that in a short while. Time for us to talk about this true, frank, and inclusive dialogue. Is it going to have the capacity to turn down the explosive devices, to turn down the guns, to stop the destruction, to stop the killings, to stop the abduction? This true, frank, and inclusive dialogue which you're talking about, what should be its nature to be able to produce?
The nature should be that Cameroonians, remember when I came back for the dialogue, I had to leave my treatment halfway. I never finished. I came. And I paid out of pocket. And when we came there, I saw what was happening. I said, this thing was not frank. We're not honest to ourselves. Because they brought chiefs from everywhere. It was a northwest, southwest Anglophone crisis. Teachers, lawyers, crisis. But when we started bringing chiefs from all nooks and corners to say we want to be a house of chiefs, a house of this and that, even the house of chiefs put in place now does not reflect what the Anglophone chiefs were fighting for that existed in the days of West Cameroon. So, if they took everything, churned it up as you take a big yam or cocoyams churned in a pot, you can never bring the cocoyams back together. So, I drew Mr. Biya's attention to this when I held his hand and said, Mr. President, please, I am begging you in God's name, sign what your Prime Minister agreed on with the teachers and the lawyers so that these children should go to school. These children should not be on the roads. Because I saw children between the ages of 10 and 35. And I knew that that was a very dangerous age bracket. I'd said this over your television before. But he said, Mr. Chairman, we'll see what to do. And they declared war. The worst thing to do in a country is to declare war. Declaring a war.
Declare war.
Declaring war is not difficult, but to end a war is very difficult. Because they shall have planted mines, these explosive devices. And who are those who are being killed in this explosion? They're the innocent people. A woman going to her farm wants to cut the soil and plant her yam, boom, she's dead. Or her limbs are all gone. All this is what I foresaw. We have to learn from other countries what they went through. I remember Lady Diana. Before she died, she had an organization to demine the world, and African countries in particular. Because with the angers in Africa, people had planted so many mines. And she had to come up with her organization to take care of that. Now, I do not want us to plant those mines. The gun is a dangerous weapon. The gun, when you start shooting it, is very sweet. I'm talking as a shooter. But when it enters the hands of children, for you to retrieve them from the hands of those children, especially as they start drinking this tramol, drinking cocaine, drinking Indian hemp and all these things, sir, they get toughened, they get hardened. And when they add what is happening now, abduction for ransom, money is coming in, sir, it's sweet. They want to do it on and on. So in the first place, we couldn't have opened our fingers for this to go through. And I told Mr. Biya that, please, if you don't let these children go back to school, you cannot hold oil in your hands for too long. It will slip through your fingers. And that's it, slipping now through the fingers. People are dying on both sides. Soldiers are dying. The youths of the North and Southwest are dying. Innocent people are dying. Because I told him that the bullet understands a straight language. When you fire a bullet, it's going straight. Anything it meets on its way, it flushes down. So you see, so many people have died who were not even at the war front, some in their own palace.
What do you think about the idea that the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions should have a meeting, a negotiation meeting with the government on a neutral ground with a third party mediating?
To have a meeting on a neutral ground, the nucleus, they have to start arranging from within. And that's why I supported the late Cardinal Tumi initiative to bring Anglophones together. And I was privy to some of the documents that they are written, and were very accurate, up to date, pointing a finger at all the irregularities that were taking place in the country. The thing is that there's a bad faith somewhere, and that we don't want to be honest and true to ourselves. And when you start hiding the truth in your family, as a family head, from your wife, from your children, you know that that family is doomed to scatter.
All right. We're going to take a look at what the newspapers reported this week. Immaculate Fogwe takes us to the newsstands, and when we come back, we will talk politics.
The Post. Many fear dead in Amba and military clashes in Bui Division, Northwest region. The Gideon says Prime Minister Chief Joseph Jangute's symbolic arms burning tarnished by ongoing raids and killings in the Northwest region. The Post Weekender reports state of roads in Anglophone regions portrays marginalization. The Garden Post exclaims deplorable state of Bamenda Babaju Road and national shame. The Sun, Babaju Road, Public Works Minister Ganu Jumesi insists that insecurity in the Northwest region is stopping the execution of the project. The Chronicle Times, imminent resumption of works on Bamenda Babaju Road. Separatists must stop attacks on contractors. The Horizon, Covid Gate. Honorable Jean-Michel Nincher of the Social Democratic Front Party tells the Minister of Scientific Research and Innovation, Madeleine Trente, to resign. The Star, scandal as Supreme Court unravels fraud at National Treasury. Several billions of Frun CFA stolen in the management of COVID-19 fund. Eden says COVID-19 money dragging government officials to Kondingi. Audit bench report confirms embezzlement of over 20 billion CFA francs. The Voice, Archbishop Andrew Nkia slams absentee politicians hiding in Yaoundé. The Median, Honorable Emilia Lifaka laid to rest. Nation bids farewell to selfless politician.
Thank you, Immaculate Fogwe, for the press review. Mr. Chairman, political parties are multiplying in the Republic of Cameroon, about 330 now. Recently, the Minister of Territorial Administration authorized 11 others, raising the number to 330. While others are coming together, some political parties recently came together in a coalition. Others are coming up, new ones are coming up, and there is what some people consider as cacophony in the political landscape?
Yeah, the cacophony has been there from when the SDF came in. And they were doing this to ridicule the SDF. And when we filed the documents, they said we didn't consult Cameroonians in all the regions for them to accept that we should form a party. We had to summon an emergency convention to fulfill that. But behind us, they formed parties, Gustave Esaka, this party, that party, that party. And those parties were there on paper. And ridiculously, after some time, they said, oh, we are forming the presidential majority. We are political parties, but want to support by the president. So you see that the regime in place never had it in mind to democratize Cameroon. They had to let Cameroonians be talking, let them be playing. Otherwise, as I've said in most interviews, how do you, let me start this way. In the West Cameroon days, when they had to recruit somebody in the police force, they went to the village and investigated the background of the person. And when the person had to marry, they investigated the background of the wife. But today, it's a matter of getting to the field, on your mouse gets set, go. The first 20, those are the winners. And these 20 are hardened criminals that have been smoking banga and running in the night, training to run away. If they rob, they should run. And this is how things started getting broken down. And when they break down to where we are, that's why we find ourselves in this situation. You're telling me that there are 330 parties to a population of what? And they go get people who have formed parties that do not have the configuration of what the SDF had to put in place. Some of the people have never held an executive meeting. They've never sat in a meeting like this to debate, argue, quarrel, and even fight. They tell you that I want to be president of Cameroon. But Cameroon, it is not a mockery. So you see, we forced down democracy down the throats of the government in place. And they say, yes, you forced it, but we'll make a mess of it. And they're truly making that mess. But it's not just the SDF suffering, they themselves are suffering. Other Cameroonians that are now supporting them because, oh, let me support because I've been made a minister. Let me support because, Mr. B is from my area. The SDF came out and I went round. I went to Sang Malema. I went to Ebolova. I went all over this country to introduce the ideologies of the SDF. And I gave them the manifestos of the SDF. I gave them all that documentation that the SDF stood for. I gave them the devolution of powers. We talked about the federal system of governance.
The parties that are coming up today, they too are presenting their own ideologies, their own
excuse me, Babila, you are a celebrated journalist. And I think that, excuse me, sir, excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, the Minister of Territorial Administration said that, that the coming up of new political parties will enrich the political debate in the country and will enhance democracy.
Congratulations. You need 330 parties in Cameroon to enhance democracy, to enrich the debates. And some of them are children who just left school. They don't have a background. They have no experience, nothing. They are not married. They've never had a confrontation just between you, your wife, and children in the house. You have to stand and tell me that I can lead Cameroon. What are we talking about? Is Cameroon that even the toys that children play with, they learn to take care of those toys. But Cameroon, we think that we can bring any child, not a young man, child, to come and be the president of Cameroon. I still repeat this. I'm told of a story of a man who stood at the toll gate at Lohe, near Lumde, during the presidential campaigns, and was handing out his leaflets at this. Yes, and said, please, look, I'll be your president. take this is my manifesto. This is what I will do for you. Some people folded him and shot him and said he should get out, not to cause confusion. And that man never won in his own village. He lost and lost flat. But Mr. Marafa, who is in prison now, gave him 300 votes in the north, 500 votes here, 400 votes here, 200 votes here, and to the SDF we are giving 10, 15, 20 to show that, and I said, Mr. Marafa, if you are true in doing what you've done, it means that you are telling me that truly the Northerners are sheep. Because these are people I've visited, I've taught, I've gone up the mountains, I've eaten with the people. They saw me, they wept. And then they give me 30 votes. And to a man who is not known, they've never seen, they give 500 votes. Why do you make things so glaring to show that we don't know what we are doing in our country? It's very unfortunate. So, okay, go on. So, you've told me that, the present political parties are showing their manifestos, they are showing this and that. Look at all the manifestos of the 399 or about 330, 329 parties. You'll see that they have a semblance of what the SDF proposed. They just change of words, change of statements, change of sentences. You'll see that they took the SDF manifesto. I can do my own. I'm a political leader. And they say, political leaders should come together. I come sit down. A young man who does not even know his own name. Frun, you are a leader, I'm a leader too. So when I talk here, you have to listen to me. I have something to say. I say, sir, what have you to say? The ba. Before we get out of a meeting, Yaoundé knows everything that we've talked in that meeting. So, they made this party just to cause confusion in the country. And I hold Mr. Biya's regime responsible for what Cameroon is going through now. They are responsible. Because if they had come or listened, look at my elections in 1992, where they dribbled, and in the end, he said, okay, give my votes to Frundi and give Frundi's votes to me. I was reliably told that. And to confirm that, Dipanda Mwele, in pronouncing the results, said, I've taken note of the illegalities. I've taken note of the irregularities, but my hands are tied. He did not quote the section of the Constitution that ties his hands for him to proclaim the incumbent winner. So, if you look at all this, you see that the willpower to democratize Cameroon was not there. It was accepted, let them come in, dribble them up and down, keep them running. Because even the CPTM regime, presidential campaigns, how many times do you really see the presidential candidate touring Cameroon the way I did? SDF came to prove to Cameroonians that politics is not you sitting in an armchair like this. I formed a party, I'm a leader. When you come and bow down before me, I take government, I'll make you a minister. But we had to go to the people. Reasons being that we wanted to know the people, to know where they were, to go on these bad roads as we started by describing. So that when somebody comes to tell you that I'm from Gelemaduka, I'm from Kai, I'm from Numben, I'm from even Joseph Quen, Tinala, Atiela, you'll have an idea of where that man is coming from. You know the pains that a man from Akwaya, Furawa, from Manuka is going through with a canoe to come and meet you. I had to sit in a canoe to go to Manuka. And when we were coming back, I was caught by a sand dune. I now understood the dangers of people who stay over there to come this way. I had to go from Dizange to Mwanko up to the port of Yoyo, which is a sandy port, beautiful. Now, I've been to all these places. I've seen the people. I know the people. They know me. And they listen to my campaigns. I presented the SDF ideologies to them. And that's why the people say, yes, we are with you, power to the people. You give us the power and we'll help. But you see, they came in with bribery and corruption. They came in with tribalism. They came in with all these things to make a mess of the Cameroonian political scene.
Who came in with all those things?
The regime in place and all the parties that they formed.
Right, Mr. Chairman.
But if you form a party and you come again and tell me that, but I belong to the presidential majority, I'll support me, but Mr. Bia, why did you form a party in the first place?
Some who were described yesterday as chasseurs de lions, lion hunters, have become the lion's friends.
The lion is hunting them. The lion caught them and put in the net.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I want us to step back a little bit and go down to the genesis of the SDF. How did John Frun come into politics, and how did he succeed to bring the people together in the same vision right up to the launching of the party in 1990?
Well, we are all Cameroonians, and we are going through a system, a tight-fisted, a high-handed regime that the security network was too hard. If you said anything about the government, you even fear talking in your own house with your wife and children, because you don't know who was going to say it, and they'll get you to Cholere, Bantum, and all those hardened prisons. And but as the people are crying, I happen to have been the president of PWD. And I was following PWD here in Yaoundé, go to the north, go this way, and the way we were being treated. We were being treated then as trash. This was painful. That a referee will stand on the stadium in the 18 of the other team and blow a penalty across. In those days, referees would enter the stadium with their paddy suits, and they're there telling you that they're referees. There was bribery and corruption and all this. And all these painful things people were discussing, and I was taking note. And I saw the sincerity in their feelings. You even remember that around that period, the students of CPC Bali rioted. And then within that period, Gwaji Tinka came up with his book, The New Social Order. And these things were showing their ugly heads. And that's when we had to some of us had to identify ourselves, sit down, and say, look, we can only challenge this thing politically. And the mastermind behind that was late Albert Mukong, may he rest in peace. And so we continued, and when we had discussed, looked at the Constitution, the constitutional provisions, and to most people, they thought that the Cameroon Constitution was really tight and that we could not form a political party. But there was this clause for the formation of associations. And that's what we used to form the party and finally launch it. And we took them unawares because they now say, but this thing was, we set up our lawyers to work. They were working day and night, and they came up with that. So that's what we used in launching filing the documents and then finally launching the SDF.
When you filed the documents for the SDF, was it easily accepted? Was it?
Now, I took the documents to the SDO's office with my dispatch book, and said I had an important letter for the DO, they should sign, receive. They signed, received, and I ran away. And when the DO opened the letter, and as I ran out, we quickly threw our tracks that we filed our documents to form a new political party. Before the SGO called me that, please come withdraw this letter, the thing had gone viral. In the University of Yaoundé, the students were singing. In Douala, people were singing. All over, people were singing.
Why did you do that, Mr. Chairman?
Because there was no other way. Okay, as a celebrated journalist, which other way do you think I could have taken? Tell me now, so that maybe in the next world I'll know what to do.
I want to know why you had to go through that, I want to call it that trickish way.
No, it was not a trickish way. It was a way that you had to make sure that you are firm in what you are doing. And if you did not do it that way, they could have, as usual, you know in Cameroon, documents get missing. There was no way for the documents to get missing. And it will interest you to know that to blackmail me, the gendarmes took the signature that I signed on that document to filing for the party, and concocted a very stupid, dirty, wicked letter that I wrote to General Tato to say that we should cause a coup in Cameroon. And they wrote the letter in broken, dirty, stupid French. So I said, look, Mr. Commandant of the Gendarmerie, or what do you call yourself? If you had written it in broken English, that could have been more acceptable. Me, who do not understand a single word of French, bonjour, I should sit down to write a letter in French to send to General Tato, who was an Anglophone. I'm an Anglophone. I say, people have misfired. You could have written in some English to say Frundi does not even know English, to damn the hell out of me. But you had to take the pains to write it in broken French. And the letter was typed on, you know, the typewriters of the gendarmes in those days had their specific characters. And when they brought, I said, this letter is typed on a gendarme typewriter. I threw it back at them. I said, it's typed on a gendarme typewriter. He said, how do you know? I said, look at the characters. We supply some of those machines and we know what they look like. Your characters are unique. And you type a letter there to come think that you can use it to intimidate Frundi. Come up with facts that will challenge Frundi to say, look, you did this, you did this, you did this.
And you stood your ground on May 26, 1990.
Of course. 6
persons died during the launching of that party. What provoked that? What provoked that chaotic atmosphere?
No. We had declared our intentions to form a political party. We formed it. And we expected the government to protect us, launch the party, to send the police out to protect that people's property should not be destroyed. But they instead sent the people out to prevent the party from being launched. They blocked the Bamenda main stadium. They blocked the commercial avenue. They went and blocked the church center. So we saw time going, we had to launch it under the fig tree in Tarunkun Park. Now, and when they heard that we had launched a party, the boys came, some of them said they wanted to march now up Commercial Avenue to show that they've won. You imagine the girl, Juliet Seacott, who was a stray bullet picked, was standing at their door and watching what was happening at the Liberty Square there, City Chemist roundabout. And a stray bullet picked her. So these are some of the unfortunate things that happened.
From there, how did you continue with that difficult atmosphere?
Yeah, well, it was all tension. Yeah.
Push through with the party right up to taking part in the presidential election, which you were talking about, 1992?
Yeah, we had to continue because we had come up with a manifesto, we had come up with the constitution of the party, we had come up with all the documentations that we need to explain to Cameroonians what we had in mind and what we thought was a good government schedule for the Cameroonian people. So I had to go out to the field to tell the people that this is what we are talking about. We sold the social democratic options. We sold the federal options to the people. To say that when you have the federation, it means that you have the powers to run your own government, powers to decide in your own federated state what you'll do with your education, what you'll do with your legal system, what you'll do with those basic intrinsic values which meant so much to the people. We had to go out to educate them that this is what we want to give you. And not for somebody to sit in Yaoundé and tell you that, okay, I will give you this, which he didn't know how the thing was moving. Now we are crying today about just the piece of road Baoju Bamenda. How many of Mr. Biya's ministers know that piece of road? From him down. So,
concern, been there, Minister of Public Works, even territorial administration, he's been there, and many of those ministers have gone there and they have gone through that road.
Good, congratulations. I remember the Minister of Works came to Santa to launch that road. And when he launched, he said in 6 months they will be finished with it. And that, after that, the government was going to tar 1 torsion roads. I laughed. I said, look, oh, Bamilkiman, 1 torsion. And the road that he launched is all broken.
Back to the Social Democratic Front, Mr. Chairman.
All broken, Mr. Journalist. And we are still talking about roads. And when we finish about roads, we'll come back to the Social Democratic Front, and I'll be with you there.
Right, Mr. Chairman, the Social Democratic Front. Tell us, why did you let go your victory in 1992? Why did you let go your victory? First of all, tell us what happened.
Now, you know that before we launched the party, they sent 2,000 well-armed troops to Bamenda to come block the launching of the party. And when we won in 1992, you know that I was held under house arrest. The whole Northwest and most of Southwest was militarized. And, pardon?
State of emergency.
No, it was militarized. And that then was followed by the state of emergency. Now, I know so many people then called me that we should go to war. As I've said in past interviews, I took note of what happened in Nigeria, the Nigerian Biafran War. People say that Cameroon's situation is not that. Yes, I'm looking at the war, not at the events that lead up to that war. I'm looking at the war itself. And I saw the damage that was caused on humanity. Grenades, bombs shattered people. Because after that I went to Nigeria. I was a bookseller buying books from the publishers' representatives who were resident in Nigeria. Lagos, Ibadan, Apapa, etc., to come sell back in Cameroon. And I saw for myself what happened to these people. And seeing what happened, I said, I was winning a government to take care of the people, not to punish the people. You see somebody, the whole of this face is burnt. The hands are gone, the limbs are all gone. And you saw them, victims of war. They cannot even talk. So seeing all that, it was painful to me. And I didn't want to see my people go through that pain. And I knew that as time goes on, we shall educate Cameroonians to come up at the same level with other advanced democracies to vote defend our votes and make sure that the person who voted takes government. And these structures that we've been fighting for, that is what helped America. Otherwise, Trump could have pushed America into a senseless war. But we thought that we should have good laws that will govern the people, good structures that will govern the state, to enable us win elections and run. If I win and I do not run the government well, the next elections people will vote you out and get somebody else in. But when you have a sit-tight position, you have a sit-tight position, and you really sit there, I'm sitting here, I've taken it, do what you want to do. Well, anyway, after all this rigmarole, I still finally had to meet with Mr. Biya in Bamenda.
Mr. Chairman, was it all about the exchange of figures between you and President Paul Biya, as you indicated earlier, that the figures were interchanged, or there were other political maneuvers with some other parties who were?
Well, maybe you know them, you better let me know, because as I keep telling some of you that you are investigative journalists and you sometimes have more information than we do have. So if you know of other things that were hidden in the background, you let me know. Because today, for instance, you see some of your colleagues, they come out very vocally, very strongly. Frun is whining and dining with Biya. They've given him 5 billion, they've given 1.5 billion, they've given him this and that. And here I am, still sitting here, the wretched man that I used to be.
Of those things were said concerning your victory in 1992, that Mr. Frun was bought over. He was paid to let go his victory.
By who and for how much? And where's the money? I don't have a foreign account. People try to blackmail me, publish accounts that never belonged to me. And I stand corrected, challenge any Cameroonian who knows that Frundi has this account in this bank. I know there's nothing that a Cameroonian cannot do. Let them go and put some monies in an account and say this account belongs to Frundi. I'll say bring the money and give to the people.
You let go your victory, and till today?
Sir, I was never bribed. And I don't accept bribes. And by bribe, I mean that somebody is saying that take this amount and you do this, or take this and you do this. I've never entered those type of negotiations with other people, with any other person, with anybody at all.
Mr. Chairman, how was the journey of your political party been from 1992 right up to the last presidential election, in which for the first time in the history of the party, a candidate of the party, Honorable O.C. Joshua, came third?
Well, to tell me to retrace my journey, it's been a rough one. It's been a hard one. It's been tedious. It's been strenuous. It's been very exacting and demanding. And as I told you, whenever they announced presidential elections, most of you, especially in the field of journalism, are living witnesses. When I say journalists, because you were phoning to find out information where. I will start from Kuseri in the north, having rallies coming down. Sometimes by midnight, I'm still at a rally ground. And when you come and meet the people waiting for you and they're there playing their drums, dancing, being happy, you have to talk to them. You will not fear that when I go up there, they can shoot me. And I thank God for the protection. I thank Cameroonians for their love and protection. I want to thank nearly everybody who participated and contributed in one way or the other towards my success in politics for this number of years. Well, if my first vice, who doubled as the presidential candidate, never did well, it is normal in every organization that will take time for people to study your approach, maybe take to it or take their own, and they win. Somewhere along the line, I believe that had given Cameroonians too much confidence. And the people will tell you that we know Frundi, we've seen him, he's been here to talk to us. And he himself just coming in could not tour up to 1/5 of the tours that I made. So I think this got the people disappointed and they were withdrawn. And then the finances too were not there. The finances were not there. So there's so much.
That performance, Mr. Chairman, has revealed or came to reveal what many have qualified as a backward movement of the Social Democratic Front for the past years. Apart from that performance, we go to the National Assembly, there has been a consistent shifting backward in terms of the number of representatives of the party. First of all, in 1997, you had 43 members of parliament, 22 in 2002. From that, you dropped down to 16 in 2007, and then in 2013, moved up a little bit to 18, and then lastly, in 2020, moved down to 5. And the SDF has no parliamentary.
Yeah, all these were issues, things that had been masterminded, planned to be like that. In the 2018 elections, will you, from a standpoint, and coming from Bali, where they're still fighting to today in Bali, can you tell me that elections took place in Bali? But the CPDM comes up with the Council of Bali. They fought our incumbent mayor there, burned his house, killed his pigs in the pen. When people go to that wickedness, when people go to that level of wickedness, it is very unfortunate. I mean, we came up with a party that was a debate of ideas. For us to debate and filter and see which ideas will be best suited to serve the Cameroonian people, and not elections by armed robbery, banditry. To think that you can bring bandits to shoot guns, kill people, abduct people. I was abducted, the cardinal, may he rest in peace, abducted, so abducted, bishops and all those people abducted. It is unfortunate. That's not the society that some of us, when we started, were looking onto. So, today I'm sick because of those abductions. And I'm still struggling and handing the party over bit by bit, so that while I'm struggling, battling with my health, the others now could maybe stabilize the party and look forward. And I think that the SDF is still on a very good footing.
Very good footing, and at the time that you are trying to organize things to hand over leadership of the party after more than 3 decades, there are something like infighting within the party that seems to be destabilizing the party. The first vice president, the regional president of the littoral, come into conflicts over statements made by the first vice president, over a letter signed by Honorable O.C. Joshua, and all of that. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the letter was signed by Joshua O.C. amongst other parliamentarians. And that issue was long resolved in the National Executive Committee meeting, where we took note of the letter that was signed by a member of parliament, and now told the parliamentarians that they should now use that very method to make sure that they bring the Anglophone problem as a topic of debate in the assembly. Because up till now, we are talking problems in the Northwest, in the Southwest, problems in the North and Southwest. They've never been debated on the Cameroonian parliament. And it's a parliament outside that will debate and send word to us that we start acting on. It's a shame for us. I think we should cry our death more than before other people come in to help us. So,
the SDF begins to sign a letter that is criticizing people who are talking about the troubles that we have in our country. Is that not?
It is not contradictory. It's not contradictory. You are signing that to let it be known that we'll sign a letter from Mr. Biya to now cause it to be debated in Parliament. The rumors out now are that in the next sitting, the Anglophone issue will come up. Because we reviewed it NEC and drew the attention of the first Vice President who signed that letter to the fact that if they cannot use the very method to bring the Anglophone issues to be discussed on the floor of Parliament, he should withdraw his signature. And that's what we're waiting in the next sitting.
And in the littoral region, the regional president has said that he's no longer a member of the party in the littoral.
Well, it was an overstatement because the Articles 8.2 that we talk about does not even say that you are dismissed. It tells you that if you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, they're anti-party and you are auto-excluding yourself from the party. And when he summoned the case in Douala, and when you give an Articles 8.2 to a person at the region or at the ward level or at the electoral district, you forward the file to NEC. Is when NEC confirms that truly this was anti-party, we now confirm your case, can you send the person out? But when he did that, he went to Parliament and straight away started removing his Joshua's name plaque to throw away that he was not a member of the assembly again. He had dismissed him. So if I had to go around dismissing people like that, you don't have anybody in the SDF. And when we came into the NEC, he said he should not be sitting there. I said, so you are fighting to take the party. When you take, that's how you'll be dismissing people, just sign and off the people go. You give them a chance to defend themselves. You give them a chance to bring a lawyer, please come defend me in this. The SDF is a well-constituted party with the legal provisions to enable you to defend yourself. And all these things were not done, and he just wanted to send Joshua away, which was not fair. But we now pass the case on to the legal department of the party. They've been working on it, and they'll come back to give a report to me. And I'll be going out soon for my health reasons, but I will have a National Executive Committee meeting to discuss and resolve on that before I go out.
We're going to take some interviews now, and when we come back, we'll look into the future of the Social Democratic Front.
In the field of security, we are taking measures so that our dwellers have to work without any fear. Every day they are going, they are coming, they are doing their business without any violent situations. So we can tell that the littoral region, by the grace of God, is just doing well. There is no fear, but we want to make our population to work very hard because we have many challenges that are coming.
Those projects are construction of the university, Congo, we call it Congo Cameroon University. That project, normally we have no problem. We have the electrical interconnection between Chad and Cameroon. We can consider that everything is done. Now, 2 other projects are in the pipe. And normally, after the last mission by ADB, by the Bank of Development of Central Africa, by Afrexim Bank, we should be in the position next year during our meeting to announce that the project will start.
Many of the people who are in power, they are the ones who are rich and they are wealthy because the power is consuming the wealth. But it is supposed to be knowledge-based economy that will drive the country. Go to Dr. Congo, we call it Democratic Republic of Congo. And you see the mansion of Mobutu Sese Seko, the former president. And you get to understand that wealth is not the answer. Knowledge is the answer. What Africa is doing, working with the head, as I'm saying, instead of looking for knowledge, relevant knowledge, and by virtue of that, we will become powerful. That was what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was preaching. And when we are powerful, wealth will be automated. We don't want to go through that. What we are doing today in this continent is we are looking for wealth straight away. And everywhere we go, we are looking for money. And the people out there, they are willing to give us loans. The more loans we collect, the more we impoverish the African continent. The more loans we collect, the more we are saying that our future generation is coming to be born in debt. As I'm standing, I have not gone for any loan. But by virtue of the debt of my country, I am a debtor. By virtue of the debt of my country, I am owing. And the amount is not going down anytime soon. It's rising every day. What it means is that my children will owe more than me. And my grandchildren will come and be in more debt than me. And the distance, the gap between the rich and the poor countries will continue to widen.
You're welcome back. Right, we are moving to the end, Mr. Chairman. We are looking into the future now. After all these years of struggling and some achievements recorded, but also failures, things that have pulled the party backward today. When you're looking at the party and you're thinking of handing over, what are you putting in place in order to ensure that as you're handing over, the party will move upward and not backward as it has been moving for some years today?
Well, Jonathan, let us look at the SDF as a baby. No child is born and just starts walking without rising and falling. And the game I played with my children was that if a child on trying to walk fell and lies down there is crying, I say, come on, son, come on, stand up. Daughter, stand up. Stand up. They come and say, show me your hand. I say, go and slap that place. I should not knock daddy's baby again down. You go and smash the place and say, don't knock that baby down. So I had to let people, my children, know that to fall is not a sin, but it's your refusal to stand after a fall that is a sin. And I bring that principle back into the SDF for us. We've fought, we've argued, we've quarreled, we've also reconciled ourselves. And if you look into the history of the party, you'll see that there are so many people that they dismissed them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and they still came back. Even some came back at a convention, and they reconciled them there, and they stood elections to challenge me as presidential candidate. So,
you're talking of Barrister Ben Munaf?
Well, that's one of the names, but we have many more in the pipeline. And when we do this, I am about going, not because I want to bluff, but because I'm tired. And
how soon do you intend to?
In the next convention in 2023. Though there are people telling me now that tell Frun to go away now. I say no. And they even say, oh, you see, Frun dismissed Ben Muna, he dismissed Kawala, he slapped Nyamusa. I never slapped Nyamusa. I never dismissed Ben Muna. Kawala came and asked for a letter of resignation to go. I signed for her to go. But when you say that you send these people away, If the people went and succeeded better than the SDF, then I would congratulate them. But some of them went and just got missing in thin air. You don't hear of them again. And they still come and tell you, oh, you did this. The SDF has worked to bring up people, to bring up the young people. In my capacity as the national chairman, I've had to send them to different areas to resolve issues, to get the party there organized, to get things done. When I send them, if you go to Adamawa today, the next time I send you to the east, the next time I send you to the southwest, the next time I send you to the far north, this and that, I'm introducing you to the people. They see your administrative skills. They see your managerial skills in resolving their local problems. When you're able to do that, you come in the next convention, they say, we want now somebody to replace Frun. They said, no, that's the man, we know him. He came and he was able to solve this problem. You know, I had to send them out to sell themselves to the people. But people sit down here, Frundi, whom are you grooming? Show us, who is your successor? Who is your, please, that's not the case. That's not the case. SDF, with all that you've been trying to analyze and bring up as the failures of the SDF, as the hard road that the SDF has taken, has remained the only political party that has been holding National Executive Committee meetings, addressing issues that affect the country, addressing issues that affect the world, addressing issues that affect the party. We'll argue, debate, quarrel over this, but we'll still come to reconcile ourselves. And that's the party I'm leaving behind, a party that can reconcile itself.
Are you looking forward to shift the presidency of the party to other parts of the country other than the northwest and southwest regions?
Excuse me, it's not me shifting. It's the people choosing. The people choosing. It's not an issue for me to choose. Maybe I could have chosen you because you asked some very intelligent, searching questions that prove that you know the innermost running of the party. So people have to look for people who can run the party, who will stand the test of time.
The people's call of President Paul Biya?
Oh, the SDF doesn't come with that, for people to write letters and publish them. That book, The People's Call, where did it end? You see, it was just a waste of material, finances, and all the like, The People's Call. You cannot be writing letters, oh, in Manu, they call on President Paul Biya to stand. In Kuseri, they call on President Paul Biya to stand. And those things were written by the elites of those areas. You take them again, and write as a book, The People's Call. I mean, you see, it's ridiculous, and there's a mockery of democracy and the way we do things in this country without blinking an eye to say that this, no, it's not very good.
John Frun, the National Chairman of the Social Democratic Front, thank you so much for your time.
Jonathan Babila, I want to thank you for taking the pains again to come. I want to appreciate you for this, and appreciate your media house for all that they've done to foster democracy in Cameroon. Not only the SDF, they've worked with the other political parties. I appreciate that. And of course, they stood true to this thing that the laws came because the SDF was formed. And you will not celebrate your successes and victories in the media landscape without looking at the contributions of the SDF. I want to congratulate you and the other media houses for the job that people have done, and wish all of you well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for this edition of The Insight. Goodbye.